All right, so Josh, it's 30 teams in 30 days, and today we're talking about the Houston Rockets. They got bounced out in the second round by the Lakers, and I thought they were going to be good this season. Like I thought that Russ and James Harden was going to be a nightmare for everybody, but Russ found a way to jack it up again. And you saw the trade talks, trade rumors. The Clippers and the Knicks interested in Russell Westbrook. You think should the Rockets do this? What do you make?
First of all, I was not on that bandwagon like everybody else that the Houston Rockets are going to be this amazing championship team. I was never sold on the Rockets coming in. Even coming into the season, I wasn't sold on them. I'm like, what makes you think the Rockets are going to get past the Lakers, going to get past the Clippers? I don't even think they get past the Denver Nuggets. Honestly, like it was just they barely even got past Houston. I was that chemistry with Westbrook, and they honestly was playing better with Westbrook not on the court. That that's the reality of the situation. They were better without Westbrook, and I feel like Houston Rockets, the team has already peaked. I feel like the team 2 years ago that lost to Golden State in Game 7 of the conference finals when CP3 got injured. I think that's the best team the Rockets had within the past 10 years, maybe since Tracy McGrady days, and they obviously let that championship window close. I really feel like the window is closed right now because this team. You got Russell Westbrook on for $40 million, and you got James Harden on for $40 million. Both their contracts are at least for 2 more years. I mean that you have what $30 million in cap space the next 2 3 years. Like I really don't know what else. I don't know what else you do. I mean I know you can't trade a superstar like James Harden and Westbrook. I don't know who's gonna take Westbrook in that contract, but I just feel like their window was closed. The only option I see for them is probably going after a guy like Gordon Hayward. Maybe they could send Eric Gordon and Covington. Those guys, their contracts are expiring. Maybe they could get a Gordon Hayward for Covington and Eric Gordon. I think the Celtics would be able to do that. Or a guy like I don't know. Maybe they go in free agency, get like a Wesley Matthews or something like that. A Derek Favors. They need a big. Y'all need a big. Y'all need to stop. Maybe Justin Holiday. Jeremy Grant. Like you can't roll out a lineup with everybody 6'5" and under and expect to win. Not in this NBA. Not when you got Anthony Davis in the Western Conference. Not when you got guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Not when like, you just can't do it. Not when you got Nikola Jokic in the West. It's just you just can't do it. It doesn't make any sense. And I feel like with Mike D'Antoni being gone, I feel like they're probably going to be better off. I think Steven Silas, I think he'll bring in a defensive mindset to the Rockets. I think he'll bring in a better offense, a more offense that moves the ball around more. And I think Jeff Hornacek signed on to their coaching staff as well, and we all know the kind of player he was. I think he'll bring more dynamic to the offense. But other than this, Houston is in a tough situation. The rumors with Westbrook, I just Clippers. I don't believe the Clippers want Westbrook. Why would you want Westbrook? You got Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. What is Westbrook gonna offer? Why not go after a guy like Rondo? Who, if you need a point guard, go after a guy like Rondo. He can provide. You don't need a big time superstar point guard. You just need a guy that can facilitate the floor and take some pressure off of Kawhi Leonard. And the Knicks, come on, who does the Knicks have to offer for Westbrook? RJ Barrett and Kevin Knox is not getting Russell Westbrook, and you don't have any good picks coming up. You I mean you've been terrible. Your pick this year is not even top five. Like, come on, you're not getting Russell Westbrook, so I don't even want to entertain those rumors.
Yeah, just a couple of things with the Houston Rockets. I mean, they just coming into the season, just looking at that team, you got that backcourt with James Harden and Russell Westbrook. You could argue that's probably the best backcourt just based on just those two, their names and status and what they've done. The best backcourt ever. Like those are two MVP players, and we know what
No,
they're capable of.
Steph and Clay.
No, but yeah, obviously, Steph and Clay work better together. But just going off individual players and talent, James Harden and Russell Westbrook is better than Steph and Clay. So that was my thought process coming into this.
I disagree.
Okay, yeah. So if we the problem with the Houston Rockets is they only have one way of playing when they made that trade in the middle of the season, and yeah, it was a shot in the dark, and you can't make all your decisions based off math numbers and stuff. They select their players based off of stats like hustle and stuff. That's not a stat. You can't pick people off of analytics that say, okay, this guy hustles this amount more than this person. Like, no, that that doesn't make any sense. This team was built analytically, and they only have one way of playing, and that is not small ball; it's micro ball. Because those guys have PJ Tucker playing center, and he is 6'5". That is not small ball. That's micro ball. That is ridiculous. Most teams, when you talk about small ball, they have a guy, playing the five who's around 6'9", 6'10" ish, or like maybe 6'8" at minimum. You look at Miami and Boston when they go small. They got Tyson, they got Bomb inside there. Those are big bodies. Those guys aren't 6'6". You know what I mean? There's still big bodies at the rim, and obviously the Lakers with AD. So the Houston Rockets, they need to switch it up. I feel like bringing in Steven Silas is going to help them because he's a defensive minded guy. Mike D'Antoni doesn't know what the first thing of defense is, and the trade rumors. I feel like one of those guys are going to get traded. James Harden or Russell Westbrook. One of those guys will not be on the Houston Rockets next season, and someone's going to get traded. Whether it's Harden going to Philly or Russ going the next spin after they've been trying to get Russ for a while. We see the Clippers want Russ. Maybe they could package Lou Will and assign a trade with Trez and throw in Shaman and one of those guys. Something like that. Try get a big tree. I don't think that big three will. I don't know if I don't like that big three, but they could whip something up there. But Russ going, one of those guys are going to get traded. I'm telling you now. But this Houston Rockets team, yeah, they already peaked. Just them, they you could argue they were supposed to lose to they locked it against OKC. They could have gotten bounced out in the first round. That would have been terrible, but they survived, and then they won one game and then got swept by the Lakers. So, I mean, I don't. In terms of what they could do, Taj, you can't have two guys taking up $80 million on the cap like that. That's ridiculous. You don't have that much
It's going to
flexibility.
be 90, and it's going to be 92 years from now.
Yeah, that's just like if you look at all the other teams, like they have their max players making like 35 million, $33 million. Like these guys making in the 40s. Like that's crazy. So I don't know what they do. You can't do much when you got two guys on those contracts. They got to get rid of Russ. I don't think Russ is. I don't, that's a terrible contract. But Russ is a good player. You could get some value back for Russ. So they got to try to get him back and try to get back some cap space so they could do something. Get more flexibility.
Honestly, although they don't want to say it, I think the owner is pretty tired of Westbrook and James Harden. I think he's just tired of that whole narrative of those two guys. I think he knows that window is closed. They don't want to say
Yeah,
it
yeah,
because obviously they want to get value back for those guys if they were to trade them. But I really feel like the Houston Rockets. I really feel like they're going to rebuild. If not this year, next year. I think they will discuss the trade to Philly, try to get Ben Simmons from Philly. I feel like they will probably send one of James Harden to Philly, maybe get a guy like Ben Simmons. I feel like Tillman Fertitta, I feel like he knows the window is closed. And the fact that he got rid of the GM and the coach, you usually don't see the players stay. You really don't see the same players stay after a whole turnover of regime. That just never happens. Like you like yes, we know James Harden is a superstar, but I think the only knows these are millionaires. These are great businessmen. They know when their time is closed. They know when the window is closed. And I think you look at those two guys and be like, it's not happening. Not with LeBron and AD and Kawhi and Paul George in the West. And you got Steph and Clay coming back, and they could probably get Giannis. And then you got Jamal Murray and Joker carrying on. Then you got Luka and Kristaps. I think he's trying to get some young players. I think he will. I think they will entertain trade maybe to Philly or somewhere else. But I really feel like one of these guys are about to go this year, and the next is probably going to be gone next year. But this team, like, I just don't know what do you do. You only have mid-level exceptions. You're already in the cap, and you only got six guys signed for next year. Like you got to go after guys on the real low. And another year of seeing Houston have two huge max contracts and a bunch of cast off. I just don't want to see that again. I think the owner feels the same way. I feel like everyone else in the building feels the same way, and I feel like even the players know James Harden and Westbrook. I feel like even they know that their time is ticking in Houston, but like it's they don't even have any draft picks. They don't even have a second round in this year draft. That just tells you how bad it is in Houston. They need to get some assets. You don't want those guys' contracts expiring and you don't get nothing for those guys. Not the championship to show, not the finals appearance to show. You don't have no draft picks. That's just a recipe for disaster. So I really feel like one of those guys are probably gonna be gone. And don't let them start out bad. If they start out bad, trade deadline, you will have both of their names rumbling. You will have everyone on this team names rumbling at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I feel like you give Steven Silas a chance with this team, because he just came in first head coaching game. You see what the guy could do. See if Mike D'Antoni really was the problem, and then like I feel like you you move off. You try to move off of Russ this season. You get back a couple assets, and maybe you could get a solid a start of putting aside James Harden, then you do that, and then that'll still give Steven Silas a chance to try and do something in the West with those guys, and then I feel like next season if you don't see any progress, you try to move off of James Harden because you could get like a lot for James Harden, and you could
But
get a lot for Russell Westbrook. So I mean, he won't be totally in a rebuild because I'm pretty sure he'll get back, maybe a young star and some picks. So, it won't be totally like the Warriors was this season. So
it's gonna be a turnover, not necessarily a rebuild, but
yeah,
more of a turnover. Because like if they could get a Ben Simmons, maybe for Russ, and then who knows what you get for James Harden? You probably get a lot for James Harden,
a
as a
lot.
matter of fact. And I even heard somebody entertaining that they send Giannis, send Giannis to Houston for Westbrook, because Westbrook is signed. And he signed off about 3 more years, and I think Milwaukee will entertain that. Yeah, like Giannis got 1 more year. At least if we get Russ, you got 3 years, and Russ in the East. I think they'll probably still be competitive. They know they're not going to win a championship, but they know they'll be competitive. I don't know. I don't think Bucks do it. I just think that's something that's just interesting to say. But where do you have this team peaking at? As currently constructed, where do you have them peaking at? I don't think they're top four seed. I really don't. I think the Lakers, Clippers, I think Denver's going to be, and I think the Warriors are going to be there.
Yeah, they probably get knocked out in the first round next season. Ceiling second round, like we saw this season. I don't see them going much further than that. I mean, they might do something with this roster. I gotta see, but I don't see them. I don't see it right now.